And the next paper will also be here from the museum by Maria Jesús Rubio Visiers, Débora Sonlleva, Jiménez, and Mercedes Fonseca Cerro. Sorry, I'm not that good in Spanish names, but you will be speaking about disseminating the Egyptian collection of the man, new formats and challenges for telling millenary stories. So we are looking forward to hearing more about this collection. Thank you.
Good morning, and first of all, I would like to thank Esther and Isabel for inviting us to participate in this interesting conference. We are going to present the set of activities that the Outreach Department carries out to raise awareness of the Egyptian collections at the museum world. These activities are part of several programs that are related to our audience. First, the educational program for school children. Secondly, the accessibility program for people with special needs. And finally, the cultural action program that includes activities for children, families, young people, and adults. One of the goals of the Museo Arqueológico Nacional is to participate in education and establish a direct relationship with teachers and students. The museum educational program is aimed at students of different educational levels, from children between the age of 4 and 6 to young people between the age of 16 and 18. For each of these groups, different types of activities have been designed, such as guided tours, workshop visit, and dynamic visit adapted to different academic levels. One of these activities is this school workshop for children between 4 and 6 years old. The objective is that they learn through play and observation some fundamental aspect of Egyptian civilization, his gods, and funerary customs. For this purpose, objects that allow a playful approach to these topics, such as dolls, puppets, and drawings, are used. This is a more complex workshop. It's based on a model of the tomb of this Egyptian queen. This model was part of the permanent exhibition of the museum before the complete remodeling of the building between 2008 and 2014. The paintings documented on the wall of the Nefertari tombs depict the stage of her journey to the afterlife, from her death to her rebirth to a new life. The objective is that students to be able to reconstruct that journey by learning to identify the different characters represented in the pictures, divinities, priests, or Nefertari herself, and the actions they perform in each situation, accompanying, protecting, giving life. In this way, students themselves can interpret the scenes autonomously. This activity is a dynamic visit to learn about the characteristics of music in various ancient Mediterranean cultures, including Egypt. Throughout the visit, primary school students identify different musical instruments, such as the sistrum or castanets, and learn about their value in religious ceremonies in relation to different gods. It is a participatory activity in which they can play reproduction of the instrument and listen the sound of them. This is a dynamic visit. It's aimed at secondary school students between the age of 12 and 16. The Nile has always been a source of life that provides sustenance to plants, animals, and people. However, human action has greatly modified the ecosystem of this important waterway after the construction of the Aswan Dam. And the aim is that the students can learn from the past to understand the present and face the future about our natural environment. This visit is focused in the mummy of Nespamedu. Esther had explained about this project to conserve several mummies and the project with the Museo Arqueológico and the Clínica Quirón. They collaborated to perform a high-precision study of 3 Egyptian mummies, including the mummy of Nespamedu, using computed tomography 3D. This visit is intended for students in vocational training in the health branch, 16, 18 years old. The results were surprising. Various objects that accompanied this priest in his journey to the afterlife were discovered, and a reconstruction of his face was made, as can be seen in the image. In this dynamic visit for secondary school, students can learn about perfumes and hairstyles in various ancient civilizations. These issues were of great importance in the body care of women and men. Their product, oils, perfumes, and ointments, and the different objects used to contain them were luxury items. Many of these products, perfumes and ointments, used by the Egyptians were transmitted to the Greek and Roman cultures. Another initiative of the museum educational program is the MAM Virtual Classroom. It is an educational multi-platform aimed at teachers and school children, designed to provide access to the museum collections as a learning tool within the school curriculum. It offers too many options. In one hand, tours designed by the museum, which include information on the pieces in the exhibition and complementary educational materials. Several tours are dedicated to Egyptian collections. On the other hand, personalized tours created by the teacher, who can select from a large number of objects based on multiple criteria, areas of the museum, academic level, subject, course, or keywords. Another of the resources offered by the educational program has to do with games. Human beings have played since time immemorial. Of the act of playing develops numerous skills, provides new experience, improves speed, and encourages participation in empathy. Many games played by different cultures can be a magnificent tool for learning all sorts of things about the daily life, society, or beliefs of the people who invented them. This is the case of Sede, a very popular Egyptian game of great symbolic value. The game board and rules can be downloaded from the website. Now, I would like to give the floor to my colleague Débora, who will comment on the activities for people with special needs.
Thank you, Maje. And thanks, Esther and Isabel, for allowing us to be here. It's such a great honor. In 2014, the new museum was inaugurated after an ambitious renovation project previously commented by Isabel Izquierdo, director of our institution. This refurbishing the general accessibility plan was created in order to guarantee physical and intellectual access to the collection of the museum. This plan includes the programs of activities which is managed by the Outreach Department. This program also includes different projects aimed at visual and hearing impaired people and audiences with different cognitive development. The program focused on visually impaired people is the most developed within the General Accessibility Plan. There are currently 2 projects, tactile displays and Museum in Your Hands. Tactile displays includes reproduction, reliefs, maps, models that can be touched. There are 17 located in the permanent exhibition to expand the content or introduce complementary concepts. Related to ancient Egypt are number 13, shows the first known writing, cuneiform and hieroglyphics. The hieroglyphics reproduce the inscription found on the sculpture of Pharaoh Nectanebo I. Number 14 is composed of objects from different periods. However, in all of them, a scale is represented as fundamental part of the scene. Through them, the audience can discover that the correct symbol of justice, the scale, has its origin in ancient Egypt. Museum in Your Hands are thematic guided tours that use different tactile displays and extra materials such as diagram, audio description, and other resources to allow using other senses. Referring to the collection of ancient Egypt, the tour is True of Voice, the origin of the symbol of justice. In addition to the exploration of tactile displays 14 discussed above, the iconography of the Judgment of Osiris allows the explanation of the funerary war in ancient Egypt, pointing out the mummification process and objects that were part of the funerary offerings, such as canopic jars. About the funeral rites. The first is the coffin of Amenemhat, accompanied by the tactile exploration of a piece of linen. The second is the Hetuya stele, accompanied by a diagram. Now, I would like to bring up that today is the International Day of Sign Languages, and focused on hearing impaired people, the museum has developed 2 projects. Guided tour with sign languages interpreted. So far, the museum offered the essential of man to discover the more emblematic species of the museum, such as the coffin of Bach, between the oldest one preserved in the museum to talk about the myth of Osiris and Isis, the statue of the priest Harsun Sutsenhat to talk about society in ancient Egypt. The second project is online themed itineraries with videos in sign languages included in the website and the multimedia guides. For example, the burial chamber commented in Archaeology of Death, the statue or Gedeon explained in the museum in feminine, and the coffin of Ige, singer of Amun, included in Music in the Museum. Regarding to audience with different cognitive development, which is a very colorful group with very little present in the cultural field, the Outreach Department is making a great effort to prepare a program to achieve universal accessibility. The resources are a project in a collaboration with the Pontifical University of Comillas and consists of 2 different elements: preparing text in easy reading and transforming information into pictograms. Since the reading capacity can be limited due to various circumstances, such as level of studies, foreign languages, etc., easy reading is a tool to facilitate access to information. Currently, the museum has a general map, a blueprint, and a brochure called 10 Unique Words, which includes the statue of Harsun Tusenhat. Nevertheless, the Outreach Department is working to create an exclusive brochure for each cultural stage. It's now in review the text corresponding to the Egyptian rooms, which include the information, the explanation of 20 pieces, for example, the Shakti, the Nile boat, or the canopic jars. In reference to pictograms, these are graphic resources for orientation to understand information about places, objects, or actions. To conclude about accessibility, the Outreach Department is preparing specific activities for these audiences, such as workshops, visits similar to those previously commented by Maria Jesús, and thematic tours specifics. Both activities are in an initial phase of work because the department has to choose themes, objects, pieces, movement through the exhibition routes, search for materials, etc. And following, Mercedes will present the dissemination of the Egyptian collection in cultural activities. Thank you.
Okay, this is the turn of cultural action. As we can see, the educational role of our museum is broad and varied, and specifically designed for each group and social sector that constitutes our audience. This is because the educational mission is at the very heart of the museum institution from its origins. In fact, in the most recent definition of a museum promoted by ICOM, it is described, among other things, as an institution that offers a variety of experiences for education, enjoyment, reflection, and the exchange of knowledge. What we call cultural action falls within the context of non-formal and informal education. In the latter, the educational process is intertwined with other cultural realities, being a lifelong process in which people not only acquire knowledge, but also develop skills, competencies, and social attitudes through everyday experiences. Informal learning in museums is interesting because it's more favorable than in other contexts due to the proximity to the real-life situations and the feeling that we are learning through a relaxed and engaging activity. And indeed, the cultural activities that museums like the MAN offer are important educational resources that foster lifelong learning and have been designed to provide quality leisure time. There is no doubt, then, that museums play a fundamental role in the integral development of individuals. It must allow a person to understand the meaning of things, the meaning of reality, different realities, both past and present, near and far. It is possible through its greatest asset, which is the cultural heritage it preserves and disseminates. Let's now explore some of the initiatives that the MAN has been developing and implementing to enrich this public engagement with the museum's Egyptian collections, as these are some of the most attention-grabbing collections. Our regular activity program, which we offer each month, includes a rich variety of offerings such as guided tours for adults, guided tours for adults specifically focused on the Egypt and Nubia Gallery, thematic tours with a cross-sectional approach covering topics related to history, culture, society, religion, art, etc., which often include the Egyptian collections. Some of the last titles were Women, Prestige and Leadership, for example. An ambitious program of lectures, courses, and scientific meetings, as we see, and Isabel has mentioned previously these programs, that position the museum as a forum where researchers, archaeologists, and professionals present and share new findings, not only about our collections, but also about research on ancient Egypt in general. We have annual cycles of conferences, such as the cycle of Spanish archaeology abroad, which this year has completed its third edition, or courses coordinated by institutions such as CEPO. And activities not only for adults, but also for families and children, who are our present and future audiences. Activities such as our storytelling sessions. One of these is about Ige, that Débora mentioned previously, a woman from our collections who was a singer of Amon. Through a performance, children can engage with engage with and learn about this woman's figure and various aspects about life in ancient Egypt in a very human way. In addition, our program is enriched with a range of extraordinary activities related to specific dates and special events. In recent years, we have developed joint activities with other institutions, such as combined visits to the museum and the Devotees Temple, for which we made a travel passport that you can see in the as a fun resource for our audience that also serve as a basis to participate in a contest and win a lot of products from our store. Moreover, hieroglyphic writing courses, workshops for events like the European Archaeology Days that take place in June, or Science and Innovation Week in November, as well as a historical cinema program in the museum where movies are analyzed and used as an educational resource. All of this with the invaluable help and tireless collaboration of Esther and Isabel, of course. To conclude, a great teacher such as Santiago Palomero once said that museums are storytellers. Well, here at the MAN, through our department, we work and we will continue working to find and recover stories of past people and communities, bringing them into the present and using them to create enriching experiences that will help shape a new and better society for the future. Thank you.
Thank you so much for talking about how we can bring Egypt and the museums out. I mean, so do you have questions? Diane?
You were talking about doing signing tours. Does that involve the curatorial or guiding staff of the museum doing the tours, or do you bring someone in to do those signing tours?
Yes, we collaborate with external collaboration and other institution and other university. In general, we didn't do the visit or the tour. We designed, including, yes.
Because in our museum, I do the tours in sign language, in both English and American Sign. And I have taught a number of my colleagues how to at least welcome people in sign. Have you done that with your front of house staff so that they can actually engage with deaf persons coming onto the site just to ask if they need help, for example?
No. Yes. We didn't know the sign languages, so we can do the guided tour. And there are professional interpreters that the Ministry of Culture contract and collaborated with the museum for this guided tour.
It might be worth just getting your front of house staff to be able to say, hello, welcome, can we help you, in sign language. That's actually something we have discovered deaf people really appreciate, being treated exactly the same as anyone else coming into the museum and not having to make a special acceptance on coming in at a specific time just so that they can enjoy a museum as everybody else.
Yes.
Yes, we think that it's important that every person, every visitor has the opportunity to be equal in our visits, in our activities. So we can make an extra effort to teach our collaborators, people who make the visits, the monitors or the educators or whatever, the signal language to introduce in all of visits. So normalize the situation and let's go with this work. Yeah, it's important. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, all three of you, and for your various aspects. Thank you.